Is there anything you wanted to share or anything from last week? Because you got cut off and I didn't know, you know, if there was, you don't have to, but if
No,
you can.
that's fine. I just got to thinking, I was like, okay, I found like several immediate strongholds popped up, and I was like, okay, I thought, okay, I've been through all this before, and I thought all that was healed, but evidently it's not. So
For layers.
I can deal with that. Um, but I really thought, because we've done stuff. I've been to a therapist. I've done things. That was when I was a teenager and I wasn't really interested in it at all. But I thought I had cleared stuff up. I haven't. I really haven't. I may have gotten some of the behaviors under control, some of them, like, active anorexia, but I haven't dealt with a lot of that other stuff.
Yeah.
So there's still some stuff. Like, for some reason, I'm still really sore about my parents getting a divorce. That was 24 years ago. So that's been a long time. I should be, kind of over that, but I'm not. And I had a rough stepmom.
Yeah.
She was a product of a rough upbringing. And so she didn't know what she was doing with us. And she tried her best, but she was a hurt person, and so she hurt people.
Yes, that's how that happens. But here's something that, when you say that, as when I was going through, when Dusty and I went through counseling training so we could train other people, we actually got even more healed. Isn't that how that works?
That's wonderful.
I told her, yes, but somebody did something to me, but this is why. And she said, stop. You don't get to make excuses for her. She said, because that doesn't allow you to feel the feelings that you need to feel. And she said, no matter if that happened to her, it still happened to you. And what happens is we start justifying their actions, so we don't actually get healed all the way from it. Mm-hmm. We won't admit how much it hurt us because we feel sorry for them or we're making excuses for them. So it doesn't matter, and I'm not telling you to say that to be mad at her, but what I'm saying is you need to feel the feelings, and all of them, and not empathy for her right now, because this isn't about her. This is about you feeling.
Okay, I see that.
So I was like, oh. And it actually made sense, and it helped me get through that a little bit better, because I was like, oh, okay, it's not right. This isn't right, even no matter what. And it hurt me, and so I didn't justify her anymore.
Okay, then I'm just gonna kind of let myself feel whatever I feel about her. She's not a stepmom anymore. My dad passed away then, so that's another big one.
Okay.
Like, they'd been married about 8 years, and he died of cancer. So then I kind of lost her. We're not in contact with each other at all anymore. So there wouldn't be anybody to be mad at, really, just a memory. So
yeah. Well, even if somebody dies and you have unforgiveness or they're hurt, you still have to deal with it,
Yeah, it's still inside me, so.
Still inside you, so that's the deal. And so I'm glad that you that came up. That's why I said some people may have dealt with some of this stuff, but I know that we're layers. Just like when we were going through the training, she said, stop, don't do that. This is what you need to do. So, and it brought a whole nother realm of healing to me, because I didn't make excuses for her. Because it's not about her healing, it's about my healing.
Yeah, you can't help other people till you are healed. So I got to deal with mine.
Yeah, exactly. And so I kind of wrote down why inner healing, when we're talking about mindset here. And maybe I talked about this last week or the week before, but it's because, we'll go back to our minds are skewed, or what we see sometimes is skewed because our faulty core beliefs from the experiences that we had. And then literally we have a hard time walking in a correct mindset if all of that junk is still here. So you can sit here and say, read these positive self-help books and all this mindset work. But if this stuff is still buried, it's really hard to grasp a hold of it, because some of this stuff even may be making somebody mad at God. Well, if you're mad at God, okay, then you're not trusting him. And then if you have fear or something because of all this, you're not, opposite of fear is love. Well, that means you're not accepting God's love. So there's something there with somebody's in God's relationship going on that needs healed. So a lot of this has to be taken care of to even trust God with all of the mindset and stuff. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I have thought before several times, I was like, okay, I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior. I believe that. Then why do I still act this way? Why do I still do these things and think these thoughts if I believe that? Mm-hmm. And I do believe it. But then when it comes to my daily behaviors, it's like I'm acting outside of his love. Like it applies to everybody else, but not to me.
Yeah. Okay.
And I trust him to a point, I guess.
Yeah.
And that's hard to say.
Areas, but then other areas you don't.
That's really hard to say. I want to trust him in everything, but I find that from my behaviors, I actually don't. Just from looking at how I act, I don't.
Yeah.
So
that's a great way to say, God, why am I not trusting you in these areas? I want to.
Yes.
Tell me what that is, because we fear, like if I don't, so we were talking about last night in our group, we were talking about control. People want to control everything. Well, that's based out of fear, of not trusting God. When you're worried about a future, when you're worried about things, you're thinking about a future without God in it. But if you don't trust him, then how's that going to work in the first place? So you've got to get kind of to the root of these. Maybe you had, because we talked about that, even the car wreck thing example, God's not going to protect me. Maybe you've prayed for something, or maybe, so like my mom, she lives in chronic pain, and we prayed. And for a while, I started getting upset about that and mad. So, because it was hope deferred. Deferred makes the heart sick. So you walk through that, but instead of asking God, where are you at in this? And what are you showing us through this? And just listening, it's so easy to point fingers and blame.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of why we have to kind of get to all of this so that we can be happy. We can speak. Okay, so I was going to talk about saying your 5 things twice a day. I don't know if you're doing that.
No, not yet.
Okay, so something popped into my head today before we got on the call, and I was thinking about Jacob in the Bible and how he got tricked, and he didn't get to have Rachel yet. And what did he do with the cow, the livestock, right? Do you remember what he did with all that? So I can't remember the exact story, but he wanted the best. He told Jacob, you pick what you want to pick out of the flock. Well, what Jacob ended up doing, he got all the weak ones, but what he ended up doing is he grabbed branches that were speckled, and he put them in front of these sheep while they mated. So these sheep looked at this while they mated, and when the babies were born, they were birthing speckled babies. So Laban ended up having those, and Jacob ended up having the good ones. So where is the learning thing in here? They were looking at something. What they were focusing on, that's what they were getting. that to me was just so amazing about vision and what we look at. How in the world did that happen? Why is that in there? You know, it's what we focus on, that's what we're going to get. So if you write out your 5 things and you start speaking your truth and you start believing them, have a vision that you want and you see it, that's what I believe you're going to get. And you focus on those things. So yeah, go look up that story.
Yeah.
See, it's pretty cool because you think, oh my goodness, they just stared at it while they were mating. And that's what they were getting. So that popped into my head, and I wanted to give it as an example of, that's another example that God has shown us what we can focus on. You know, so I thought about, okay, what are we going to do today? And we're going to go through 2 things. So do you have any questions or anything to say about that?
No, good stuff.
So have you broken soul ties? Have you gone through all of that before?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So what a soul tie is, like, it's an attachment or a bond. Let me see if there's anything else, notes that I took. Okay. An attachment or bond that we have with someone of something or something. Okay. So there are healthy soul ties such as a spouse, a friend, or a parent-child relationship. A soul tie can be healthy or unhealthy by determining the answer to the question, where are you looking to get your affirmation from? Where are you looking to get your affirmation from? If the answer to this question is anyone or anything other than God, then an ungodly soul tie exists. So if things are still affecting you from a relationship, or you care about what people think, or maybe you do things a certain way because of an influence, but it's not really a way that you want to do it, that could be an ungodly soul tie. So it's an unhealthy, or it's an unhealthy relationship or a sinful relationship. It can be created from a healthy soul tie, such as a spousal relationship, a parent-child relationship, or friendship. So I've had to break soul ties even with friends that the relationship became toxic. So if we are consumed with what someone else thinks about us, then we have to see if an ungodly soul tie has been created. So an ungodly soul tie can be created by an emotional, a physical relationship outside of marriage, including sinful flirting. So I've broken soul ties with people I've had sex with people who abused me. So work, it can also be work, transition from old job to new job. It could be porn, sexual abuse, unhealthy, wrong authority, church, ministry, the status of it or achievement, present or past, like that's what you focus on. A healthy soul tie that becomes unhealthy, or anyone or anything you have given your heart to. So breaking an ungodly soul tie can be painful. So it can be painful. I've broke soul ties from my ex-husband. I've had to do that. That was a very unhealthy relationship, 17 years. And then I was married. I don't know if when I was 15, I got married.
Oh, wow.
Year and a half, because I had my baby at 15. I got pregnant at 14, had him at 15, and got married for like a year and a half. Didn't know what I was doing. So, I had to break the soul tie with him. And even my dad. So it may be that you have to break a soul tie with something or someone that is very important to you or that you love very much. So know that the Holy Spirit will minister healing to your pain as you do this. So it's anybody like, what did I put down here? I took a note somewhere. I don't know what I did. But so if you're just caring about too much what people think or get unhealthy. So I just kind of said, write down names of each person that you think you have an ungodly soul tie with. And then how you break it. It's just a simple thing. And so some people go, well, I'm just saying this out loud. Why? But this happens in the spiritual realm, and we are more spirit than flesh. We were created by the spiritual realm. There's a spirit realm. It was created by it. So when we do things like this, You have to know literally in the spiritual realm that these things are broken. So one thing that you can do, you can close your eyes, and I can send you these steps, but close your eyes and in an attitude of prayer, ask God, have I attached myself to someone which has created an ungodly soul tie? Okay. Who have I put on the throne of my heart other than Jesus? Who or what? Is there something? Gosh, it could even be money. It could be work, like, you working too much, like for some people. So take them down, jot them down, and then put Jesus in that place instead of them. So there's just a prayer that we can pray just to break it. So, does anything come to mind while I'm sitting here talking about this?
Basically, this is bad. My whole family.
That's not bad. You can. I told you a few people. I've had a list of a lot of people, and okay, so my mom and I have an amazing, amazing relationship. Okay, she's my best friend. But my mom, and she's a great mom, but she did some things wrong and stuff. The problem with my mom is, and she still is kind of like this today, she wraps her whole world around.
Yeah.
So it's like when I moved away to Virginia or Austin, I came back 9 times just because I was afraid to her that she would just be devastated.
Mm-hmm.
Me caring more about what she thinks. I had to break that soul tie. I haven't told her that, but I had to do that so I wouldn't care and I could release her.
Mm-hmm.
Not so when I break it, that doesn't mean that I have to lose that relationship with her. That means
right.
I care what you think as much as I care what God thinks. You don't hold that place in my heart other than Jesus. So I'm going to trust if Jesus tells me to stay here for the weekend, I'm going to stay other than care what my mom thinks. Is that
that makes sense?
Example for you. You need to go in there.
Oh, I guess mine. Hi.
Okay, real quick. Okay.
Oh, wait.
What? Then go to another one.
Wait.
No, you can't interrupt mommy. You're on your own.
I have a coloring game.
Cool.
Go in there. So you said, I guess my what?
I think mine is more of a comparison game.
Okay.
Like between my sister and me, I feel like my family has always been comparing between my sister and me because we are so close in age. Like we're about 1.5 years apart. So we were only 1 grade level apart. And so things were we were always just comparing among each other. And I feel like our family was too. So I think I need to break that, at least in my own mind. They probably don't even do it anymore.
No, but you have to. So I had a friend who it was always competition with. I had to break. It was unhealthy and a toxic friendship.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're not friends now, but I had to break that. So I totally get what you're saying there.
Like my family probably doesn't even think about us that way, but I do.
Yeah.
Like, so, I feel like every little thing is always, well, Katie wouldn't do it that way. Or, well, Katie did this. What did you do? And it's not that way. They don't say it that way. They don't say things like that. But
you think of it that way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. So, see, that's good. So, I'm going to say a prayer with you, but it doesn't talk about this in right here. So I'm going to just say one of the things that I like to, how I think of a soul tie is there's an umbilical cord attached to me and them. That's kind of how I picture it. So when I pray a prayer, I picture me cutting it and they're not attached to me anymore. And so what they think or what they do doesn't affect me anymore. And it's like not a magical thing. So I was like, I have broken that soul tie when the enemy would come back.
Uh-huh.
And I'd say, no, that's done. I don't even have to worry about that because it's this habit that we have lived in. So we have to break that habit. And that's where speaking our truths and mindset comes into, right? So we don't, thoughts come in and then we start speaking the opposite. So we can continually speak our truths. and who we are and who God says we are, and that we don't care. So if that, the competition thing came up, you can say, no, it doesn't matter because I am who I am and I love who I am. This is who I am. And I mean, it just is so much different than just picturing it being cut. Then you can start speaking your truths onto that. So I'll just go through this prayer real quick, and you can just think about it for her in your mind if you want to. And then I know I need to send you the other prayer as well in this one. So are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Father, in the name of Jesus, I confess and break all ungodly spirit, soul, and body ties in my life. I bind and renounce all covenants and agreements I have made with the...
I'm on YouTube.
So sorry.
I'm on YouTube. But I'm going to watch what I can, okay?
I bind and renounce all covenants and agreements I have made with these unions. I resist any evil spirits that have entered through these ungodly soul ties. I cancel the power these soul ties have had on my mind, will, and emotions. Father, I ask you to remove from me all influences that these ungodly soul ties have had on me, and take back every part of my life which has been wrongfully tied to another person. I recommit my soul to the Lordship of Jesus Christ. Holy Spirit, I ask that you purify and heal my broken heart, cleanse and renew my mind. Help me to make only godly choices and relationships. Restore my emotions. In Jesus' name, amen. So you can do that for every single person. And then
That's good.
I go clip, and they don't have that control over me. So that's why I'm taking you through different steps of inner healing that goes on. So that was a fast one. So I thought, which one? This is a good one that we can do too. So if you're ready, baby girl, turn that down. All right. So have you heard of inner vows?
No.
And inner vows. Okay. So all this is new. Okay.
Everything that we went through before was all like from a secular psychologist's point of view.
Okay.
So it was all, therapy and stuff. It wasn't from a Christian perspective at all.
Okay. Okay, so judgments and inner vows. So I'll just give you an example of a story before we go into it. All right, so there was this man, this is a true story. He would go grocery shopping with his wife. I'm going to get a drink real quick.
Mm-hmm.
He would go grocery shopping with his wife. And every time they go, he would get these 12 packs of soda, all kinds of Cokes, Sprite, Dr. Pepper, Coke. And, his wife would be, one day she was like, okay, that's enough. That's enough. We don't have to have these anymore. Why do you think we're going to run out? What's the problem with this? I mean, what's going on? And he had told himself, because he grew up in a home that never, ever, ever let him have Coke. So he said, I will never do that. I will always be able to drink whatever I want to drink. So when we say in our family, I will never do that, what they did, or I will do what they did, we've created a judgment and an inner vow. Okay? And why that can go against us, well, I'll tell you in just a minute. So let's go through here. So a judgment is so judgment and inner vows go hand in hand. So judgment is a negative belief about an event or a person based on a wounding from a false expectation. Okay, so we all have these expectations. It can even be based on a sin that was done to you. Only God has the privilege of judging people and events. So that's judgment. So inner vow would be, this is the response to the judgments that you've made. So he made that judgment on his parents that I do not like what you're doing. Therefore, this is what I'm going to do. So an inner vow is typically made when we are children, especially when we feel out of control, and vow we will do it differently when we grow up. We are not normally aware of making this inner vow. It is a swearing to yourself that is void of any decision to seek or submit to God's direction in that particular area of your life. So it'll usually begin with I'll never or I will always. So So really what we do in that, we're going to follow that instead of God's leading. So if God's telling you something, it's kind of like you close the door on God because you said never, or I will always. So an inner vow is the quick, drying cement that holds the judgment. So when inner vows are directing our lives, then God isn't directing our lives. The inner vows are. So I even said, go back to the experiences. Remember our little flow chart, our experiences, our faulty core beliefs. You can go back to your experiences that you've had in your life that cause mental strongholds. What judgments have you held towards those people in those experiences, and inner vows that you've made because of those experiences? Do any come to mind?
Yeah, and they weren't ones that I actually said, I will never do this or I will always do this, but they're kind of deeper than that. I think maybe like when my parents got a divorce, I was 6, and it was my mom left. She just left. And so I was like, what did I do? What did I do wrong? And everybody kept telling me, you didn't do anything wrong. But I don't think I quite believed them, because I was like, well, I must have done something wrong because she left. I mean, if I was a good girl, she would have stayed. Yeah. So I kind of developed this in my mind of, well, I will never merit somebody leaving me. I will never be bad. I will never let somebody think bad of me, because then they might leave or they might hurt me or whatever. So I will always be a good girl, basically, was what I guess came out
That's
of
lots of pressure for a 6-year-old.
Yeah.
Today, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't want any 6-year-old to think that. And everybody told me, it wasn't you, it wasn't you, it wasn't you. But I guess it just kind of got in my head that, well, if I had been better, maybe she wouldn't have.
Yeah.
If I had been just a little bit better or good enough.
Feel like that's still affecting you today?
I've always been a people pleaser, so I think it just developed into a habit. Like, now I know. My mom didn't leave because I wasn't good enough. My mom left because she had an affair with another guy. Mm-hmm. It wasn't me at all. But I still people please. Mm-hmm. And I still just cannot stand. I mean, it kills me for anybody to be mad at me. Okay. Like, for me to hurt feelings, I can't hurt feelings.
So I wrote down rejection. Have you dealt with rejection?
I guess I made the vow not to ever be rejected.
Well,
isn't that weird?
It was my fault and your mom left. That's going to automatically put rejection on you. Mm-hmm. Feel rejection from your mom?
I guess, yeah, probably.
Yeah. So, and rejection and shame are so, and not feeling worthy enough, okay? Mm-hmm. Some biggies, okay, in our life. So that's my whole life. I walked in shame. Walked in shame my whole life. So we're going to go really hit those hard the last 2 weeks on rejection and shame. I'm not really going to do that now.
Okay.
Through some of these, but I thought, I don't know if it's going to be the last 2 or 3, but usually rejection, shame, and an unworthiness feeling is just right there. Almost all of us deal with it. So especially people who've had eating disorders or something, I know that that's buried in somebody somewhere, or it was if they haven't dealt with it. Because I know, so we'll go over that later, because I think that's a huge thing, even with people pleasing. So you might be afraid you're going to make them mad, so they're going to do something, or you're going to, all that can be based out of a root of rejection that needs to get plucked up. So a 6-year-old, what does that say to you when she leaves and you say she did it? It's my fault.
That I wasn't good enough.
You weren't good enough. Exactly. Okay. I'm just writing notes for when we meet, when we start talking about this.
No, that's fine. I've noticed it affects my relationship with my husband because we basically he asked me to marry him and he said, and I don't believe in divorce. And I said, and I don't either. And he said, well, then if you say yes, this is forever. This is it. I'm not going to leave you ever. And I was like, well, I won't leave you ever either. And I knew I wouldn't, but I didn't completely trust him. Even though he said it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was like, well, I still have to be good enough for you because you could just walk out one day. And he has told me over and over and over and over, I won't walk out. You couldn't do anything that would make me leave you. You couldn't. Mm-hmm. And I can't quite buy it.
Well, I kind of dealt with that too because I always say God wrapped Dusty up in a big red bow and said, here you go. He's been like Jesus in skin to me. Mm-hmm. He's brought him into my life to help heal me. And he can do that through your husband too, because I had an ex-husband who had multiple affairs. Did I say that already? I think so. I mean, I don't even want to go into all of it, but he was constantly looking at other women. It was just one of those things. And he just, okay. So anyways, when I married Dusty, I've gone through a lot of healing, like a lot, but I still had that feeling of he's going to look at another woman. I have to perform for him. I have to make sure we're going to have sex all the time. I'm going to have to perform for him, all of these things. And he is like, because I said, I guess I'm just waiting for the shoe to drop. And he dropped the shoe. And he was dropped. It's dropped. But I had to get to the point that I got healing for me, that I love me. If I don't love myself enough, how can I love him? Mm-hmm. I can't do it right. So if there's still rejection in me, or I've got all this junk in me, it's going to affect him. So I am now to the point that if he left, I would be okay. Like, wow. I don't want that. I don't want that. I love him to crush me, but I'm confident enough and I love myself enough to know that me and God, that's the most important. But I had to be okay. Like, I can't be codependent on him. Mm-hmm. He's not going to ever leave me or be terrified if he walks out of the house and he hasn't called me. Where's he at? 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 And I had to cement this in my brain that I am enough. I am worthy enough. I am enough. I am loved. And I mean, I would look in the mirror and tell myself these things, like, because it was so, like, I would look at myself and say, I love you. You're worthy enough. These are your truths of who you are. And when I started doing that, that helps me to love him even more. I mean, it's amazing. That's what God says. So if you can get to that point, like, so even in the relationship that I had before, God always said to me, you do what's right. You do, and I will bless you. And I mean, I grew so much and I got healed so much from my past when I was married to him, but he was still doing stuff, right? So then there was another layer that had to come off when I was married to Dusty, of me saying, oh, okay, I am worthy enough. God does take care of me. I mean, he showed me how much he's blessed me, but I had still all this kind of just junk that was in there. And I'm still, I could go through all this and God can point out something and I go, oh, that's still there. Okay, we're going to take care of that now.
Yeah. It's a work in progress.
Yeah, it is. So you can, write down anything, like any judgments, any inner vows that you may have made, even like how you're not going to be like your mom or how you're like your dad or whatever, whoever it is, that can be, what does it say? When inner vows are directing our lives, God isn't. So, all right, so let's say a prayer over these. Do you have one in your brain?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Father, I'm aware that your word says that we shouldn't make vows except to you. I've made judgments. I did this as a result of deep wounding in my soul. I then made inner vows to myself. In the name of Jesus, I repent for any judgments and break the resulting inner vows. I choose, as an act of my will, to forgive those who wounded me. I ask that your will be done in my life. Cleanse me and reverse the lies I have sown with my lips, as well as my actions of self-sufficiency in the inner vow. Give me your strength to change. I choose to allow you to be in control and to begin today to walk in blessing and righteousness. In Jesus' name, amen. So I'll send these to you.
Thank you.
Right now. But that's what I was going to do today. And to tell y'all to focus, really write down those 5 things. Pray over those 5 things that you would like to see happen, that you feel like God is telling you to do. And that'll be your goal. And then just start speaking and wake up and speak them, in the morning and at night. So I want to give you that example of focusing on what we want.
All right. Yeah, I go from having like really good days to a bottom of the barrel day.
Yeah.
So things are getting better. I'm working this mindset stuff and it's getting better, but I'll have like 2 or 3 days where I'm on a mountain and I'm like, yes, this is wonderful. Yes, I'm speaking my truth and it's going great. And I'm praising the Lord all day. And then I'll hit a wall and I'm like, oh, everything's bad. And just a cruddy day. So
we all
working on those cruddy days.
I mean, we can all have those days. What do you do in the cruddy days?
I try just to play with the kids a lot.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Just try not to.
Days, your emotions mainly, your feelings mainly.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. So you're on a journey and you're learning and you're going to take steps and you're going to take steps just like a baby and you're going to fall, right? And our mommies, when your baby falls, are you saying, oh, I can't believe you did that?
No.
Oh, so God is going, oh, you fell. Good job. Get up, get up, get up. Well, look how far you've come. He's not saying, I can't believe you messed up, blah, blah, blah. No, he's cheering you on because you're doing something and then you fell. And he's like, oh, no, I'm here. I'm going to help you get up. So, if you can picture him doing that and not mad at you, he loves us more than we even love our children. So I think so many people have this mindset and thought about God of, well, okay, I don't know, not all people, but my father put horrible guilt, manipulation, and shame on me my entire childhood. So I automatically thought God was somebody who was always ashamed of me and I wasn't good enough and guilt and all of these things. So if I didn't read my Bible or whatever, I would feel guilty. Like he was so upset with me and I'd be like, I didn't do that. Might as well go to the bar. This is like, because I've already messed up. So that's how I related to God, was how I related to my father. And I had to learn that, oh my gosh, my God, he loves me so much. When he looks at us, he sees Jesus. He doesn't even see our sin. He sees Jesus. That's why he said, he was like, I know what I'm getting with you. You don't surprise me.
These are for 5-year-old kids. Yes.
So, I don't know. We'll have to see. But what we do, God is not shocked by us. He's just not. And he loves us regardless. But he was like, oh, I've got to have a plan for my kiddos. And that's where Jesus comes in. Thank the Lord.
Yes.
So Yeah, if you fall, just know he's clapping for you and you on, saying, I'm here.
That I love C.S. Lewis, and that is exactly like a C.S. Lewis quote.
Oh,
I mean, it's not exactly, but there's one. He said something like, "God is a loving Father, and He doesn't get mad at you when you stumble and fall. He is glad that you took any steps at all. He is looking back at those steps you took and going, wow, look what you just did. You took those steps. He's not seeing your fall and going, oh, you fell. That was so bad. You're wrong. He's like, well, you were walking. You were walking before you fell.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
amazing.
Yeah,
So this kind of the same, sort of.
good. I'm glad. I haven't read that, but that's good. All right, so I want you to feel lifted up after this. I want you to know that inner healing isn't always easy because you kind of got to think about some stuff. But if you don't think about it, it's never going to come out. And you're not going to walk in all of the things that God has for you because we got to get it out.
Right.
So as much as, just pray this week. God, show me the people I have a soul tie with. I want free of this. Show me any inner vows that I've made, judgments and inner vows. I don't want them. I want to be directed by you. I don't want to be directed by what I think somebody else says or cares or what I have placed on myself. And so just show me all of these that I can get rid of.
All right.
He will. And then speak those truths. Keep speaking them, keep speaking them, keep speaking them. The days you want to do it or is the days you need it most.
It's hard for me to do that, and it's hard for me to look in the mirror and talk to myself because that was something they made us do. I went to a recovery center when I was a teenager and was really sick, and they would make us do that. And so I was like, when I left, I thought, you know what? I'm better now. I don't need to do that anymore. And I have tried to do it since then, and I find that I just can't. So I'm going to work on that because that's still important. I still need to affirm me. I still need to tell myself, you can do this and this is what you want. Focus on it. So I would love to be able to look in the mirror one day and say, I love you.
And with women, loving you and your body now where it's at, not when it's healed.
Right. But I can't even do it right now. So
looking at your tummy and saying, I love you. Thank you for birthing my beautiful kids. Thank you for being a body that has supported me. Thank you. Thank you. And just loving on it.
It has done a good job.
Yeah, it's done a really good job for you. So just being appreciative of this body that God's given you. And I mean, I literally, I've even had to go through and learn this now again. I haven't dealt with diastasis, but what I've been dealing with since I've had Bree is hormone issues, losing weight, getting down to 100 pounds, being estrogen dominant, getting cellulite all over my body, like going, I'm a trainer. I can't have it. I mean,
hormones are insane.
Huh?
Hormones are insane. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't understand why the cellulite was coming on me. Like I started getting kind of obsessed and looking at people who never worked out and they didn't have cellulite. And then I'm looking at women who did work out and they've got muscles, but they have cellulite. And I'm going like, oh my gosh, like you would look at me and think, you never work out. What's wrong with you? Like the muscle, like I couldn't build muscle. It was getting, so I realized it was all this flabbiness, but in this process, I've had to learn what I've been telling people. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's hard.
Body, like I can always say I love myself, but I've never had problems with my weight or anything. So I've gotten to learn to do this and say, okay, I love you, even how you look. And that's been a process for me. So it is a process. But I'm glad I've been through it because I can love me now. I don't even know where I'm going to be, but I focus a vision of what I want to do, but it's not unrealistic. Like I want it to be a healthy vision. I want it to not make me feel like I've got to get there right now. I've got to do this. I've got to do this right now.
Yeah.
And be a crazy person and make my family a crazy person in the midst of it, and know that it's a journey.
I feel like up until a week ago, that's what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm giving myself 3 months, and 3 months I'm going to be better because I'm going to work my tail end off. And in 3 months, this is going to be fixed. And that's not true. That's just not true.
You've got to give yourself, just know it's a journey. It's a lifestyle. A lot of things are happening so much more, than you even know.
Yeah, I watched your video because I think it was day 30 or something. It said, go watch the why is my diastasis not healing fast enough. And so I went and watched it, and I was like, okay, I got it. It's not, be a tortoise. I can finally learn to be a tortoise. I've been a hare my whole life, but I'm going to learn to be a tortoise because the tortoise wins. So
Yes, that's right.
I'm going to work on that. And I don't want other people, I don't want people I love to be hares. I want them to be tortoises because tortoises live better.
Yeah, they do.
So I was making everyone crazy. I really think I was making everyone crazy. My husband was like, would you stop asking me if you're in alignment? Because I was doing it all the time. I was like, does my rib cage look like it's over my hips? And he was like, I don't know, Meg. I just don't know. I don't even know. And he would catch me standing up against a wall. And he's like, are you checking again? Like, yes, I'm checking, trying to get in alignment. You don't know how important that is. And he's like, just stand the way you want to stand. And I think if you let go, that's more important than being in correct alignment. And you're probably in correct alignment anyway.
Yeah.
So I've kind of been working on that.
Here in you when we met, and I thought, I was so glad you were doing mindset stuff because it's the thing. To me, it's the most important. It's the most important. And then all of these other things will follow.
Mm-hmm.
Just trust the process. Trust the process. And yeah, the tortoise, that's a perfect example, and relieving expectations, don't put expectations on yourself. Especially unhealthy, unrealistic expectations on yourself. So getting rid of all this stuff too, because you're not going to care about what people think. You're breaking all that off. You're breaking these inner vows off. So you just got to keep walking in that and knowing that this is what I'm doing. And I'm taking a step and I'm taking a step. And don't beat yourself up if you fall. Don't beat yourself up if you can't get to your workout one day or your breathing homework. You give yourself grace.
I will. And I've been actually only doing 3 workouts a week.
Good. Okay.
Because my husband said, you need to slow it down. He said, I'm not going to let you do 5 a week. You're doing too much. I think you're messing it up. So I was like,
one day is just a stretch day.
Mm-hmm.
And there's walk days. So those are for relaxation.
Mm-hmm.
Those will help get your body into correct alignment. So you can do diaphragmatic breath with the stretch days and allow your body to relax, open and release your pelvic floor. That's a great time to do all that.
I need to. But he just said, I think you're getting too workout crazy.
Yeah.
So you need to tone it down. He didn't say I'm not going to let you, but he was like, please don't.
Well,
please calm it down.
He's a voice of wisdom and
He
reason
is.
for you.
He is my antidote to the crazy that lives here. So
Yeah.
I need him.
Yeah. And that's how I am with Dusty. We are just the best team together. We make the best team together. I didn't even know marriage could be like this. I didn't know it could be so wonderful, and I could have a best friend. And I look forward to him coming home. I can't wait to see him. It's all these things, and so I'm so blessed that I get to have this. And one day I was cleaning. I used to have a cleaning business when I moved back, and I was cleaning the house, and this is when I was newly married to Dusty, and God said, I always hear God when I'm cleaning or showering, and I felt Him say, I answered every prayer you prayed when you were married to Kobe. I went, He goes, it wasn't in how you thought the prayers would be answered, but I've answered them. So He answered my prayers with the husband that I wanted at the time, like Kobe. God can't change his heart. Like he has a free will, but God knew my heart, and what I prayed for years for Kobe, God blessed me even more. But he was just telling me, I've heard your prayers and I've answered them.
Wow.
In a better way than you could imagine. So I just think that's amazing.
It is. It is. And He answered prayers for me that I didn't even know that I prayed.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
And He answered prayers that were in my heart with James. I didn't even know some of those things, that's who I needed, that's what I needed. Because, He is absolutely perfect for me. You would never think that a person like me, who's so type A and, would be able to find, and I wasn't me. I didn't find him on my own. God found him for me. But I would never have met up with somebody who is so just reasonable.
Yeah.
He is so reasonable.
I'm praying that for all my kids. All my kids, they need that, so that's what I'm praying for. So.
And my mom did a lot of things that were bad. But one thing she did that was wonderful, she's told me this, and we have a good relationship now, but she has told me, since the day you were born, I prayed for James. I prayed for God to bring you the husband that He brought you. I didn't know it would be James, but I prayed exactly, that God would give you who you need, and He did. And that was the most supreme compliment she could have given me about my husband. That I was like, okay, thank you, Mom.
That's awesome.
And I will pray for my children that they have a husband and a wife that are just exactly who they need.
Yes. Yep. I've prayed, and I've always prayed with my kids for their spouse, and one of them's married, and she wasn't who I thought it was going to be. At first I thought, I don't know, but it's worked out beautifully.
Good.
I didn't know if we could be close, but God has totally shown me differently.
Cool.
So we're learning different personalities, So it's pretty cool. She loves him and takes care of him and blesses him, and vice versa. So it's been beautiful to watch. So I'm like, we just got to pray for the other ones.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you have 6 more to marry off.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like my stepdaughter, she's engaged, and they are a great couple.
Good.
So I pray that, but one boy in particular, mine, who's going to be 28 this month, he's going to have somebody that I have no idea who she is, but she's going to have to be, I don't know, for miles. I mean, he's
a special girl.
Yeah. So I'm like, God, you know who she is. And I just thank you that you bring her to him, because he doesn't think he needs anybody, but he needs somebody. He needs somebody.
Everybody needs somebody.
Yes. And so he's on my heart lately. Right. That little man.
Hard being a mom.
Yes. And he's done so good in areas, and he still is. It's just, he's just not walking in all that he can. And, because he's like on his computer working all the time, and he's kind of shut the whole world off, and he is a people person, and it's making him kind of bitter and judgmental, and I'm thinking, who are you? Like, this isn't even who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just praying and speak truth into him. Mother's influences are huge.
They are.
Are you wanting to homeschool?
Yes.
Okay. So